Hey, we're Transviolet, and we're hanging out with Big Rob from Front Row Live.
I'm even more excited to talk about this album you guys have been in the studio recording. It's an Epic Records debut for you guys. So let's talk about going into the studio. What's this process been like for you guys?
It's been pretty awesome. You know, it's definitely a learning experience. Going into the studio with the demos already finished and knowing exactly, well, not exactly, but knowing what, a lot of stuff that we already wanted to do, kind of expedited the process, and then having all the tools in the studio to work with to get the job done was pretty awesome.
Now, you guys already had a debut EP last fall. So coming in to the studio a second time around, now that you've already experienced what your fans like, you've already gotten a taste of the studio. What kind of mindset did you have this time around, knowing what you could already produce and what you could potentially actually release?
I think we just went into it with the same mindset we always have, which is just the best idea in the room wins, and to be super collaborative and open, and just trying to put out something that's honest and authentic and a lot of fun.
And who did you guys work with this time around as far as the producer goes?
We worked with Alex Reid. He's basically like the fifth member of our band. He just doesn't, we would totally want him in the band, but he doesn't want to be in a band. But yeah, he's the sweetest guy ever. And
Curveball Ken.
Yeah, and Curveball Ken.
Ken
yeah,
Slater.
Ken Slater. But yeah, they're both really great and talented and so kind and so amazing. Yeah.
So one thing I like to hear about each band when they go and work with a new producer is how said producer, really breaks them down inside the studio. What were some difficult times with this producer that you were like really struggling to either do what he's telling you to do or just record new material?
Not really at all. Like we mesh with this guy. Nice. It's very cohesive, and just there's a lot of respect and understanding between everybody. So it all worked out, fortunately.
There's no daytime drama with our recording experience. I mean, obviously there's things that change and it takes a minute and you're kind of like fighting with yourselves, like, is this what we want it to sound like? But going into this recording process, like, he's figured out us, for lack of better words. Like, he knows how to direct us and point us in the right directions, and he's just a great person to bounce ideas off of, and I don't know, it's smooth.
Yeah.
And where are you guys at right now with the record? Is it something that's still in production? Are you guys done with it? Are you guys in certain writing processes?
It's pretty much done now. Yeah, I think we're ready to.
It's in the can.
Ready, art's done. Like, it's in the can. Nice. Let the record show it's in the can.
So, with your debut EP, was Epic involved at all for that one, or was this something you guys had done before the label came about?
The writing was done.
I mean, everything was pretty much done with the EP, and as far as the album, they've been really good about just kind of letting us have creative control and do whatever we want to do. So thank you, Epic. It's been great. Thank you, Alex Reid.
Let's talk about that single that's been everywhere. If people don't know who you are, as soon as someone says the name of the single, like, oh, I've heard of that band, New Bohemia. Let's talk a little bit about that single. What really made this single happen?
I'll actually let Sarah take this one. I'll explain a little better.
I mean, to be honest, it was one of those that was kind of a surprise when it happened. I think we were all really burnt out when we were writing at the time, and we all kind of came into the studio in a bad mood. I think I was like terribly hungover, but it just kind of came together. And it's this song about seeing the world not just as it is, but how it could be. So that's, yeah.
And like you just mentioned right now, coming into the studio, having some hard times. When you guys come into the studio, how are you guys in the studio? Are you guys stepping in and strictly business, or does it take a while for you guys to really settle into the studio vibe?
I think it's song to song, but for the most part, it's like very casual. I mean, we're just having fun writing. Like, I don't think you'll get a good song out of us if we show up and clock in and like sit down at our pads and at our guitars. Yeah. Like, I think you're gonna get robotic, whatever, and we're not gonna come through in the track. But I mean, there are songs where Mike plays guitar and John comes up with a vocal idea, or Sarah comes up with a drum idea. We're all just there together, just with 100 bad ideas before a good one comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And I think it's that environment, knowing that you can come with a bad idea and no one's going to be like, you're an idiot.
Because there are a lot of them.
There's a lot of bad ideas, yeah. I mean, I think it was Edison who was famous for saying it, but it's like you have to fail, 1,000 times before you finally succeed. And we are definitely in that group, It's not like we're those people that just come in. Yeah, we just fail left and right. But we are very, very persistent, and I think that's why, we've been successful.
Right. Now, there's a lot of bands that prefer coming into the studio with brand new material, or sometimes they want to bring material that they've been working on for quite some time. How do you guys feel about that? Is that something that each time you're working on a new record, it's something completely fresh, or do you guys have something from the previous EP that didn't get released?
I mean, I think it's always different. Sometimes you come in, sometimes Sarah will come in with like a lyric or something that she's just been wanting to use, and we've tried using it in different demos before, and it just kind of gels with the song that we're working with. Or, Mike Pan has a bass line that was in a different song that just never really worked out, but just happens to work, Or sometimes we sit down with a fresh Pro Tools session and we just kind of look around the rooms. They're like, all right, what are we going to do now? It's always different. And as long as the outcome is the same, I don't really think it matters how it started,
Right. Now, you guys got to experience South by Southwest earlier this year. You guys played a ton of shows. What did that teach you as a band, especially, I guess, in a touring environment?
I guess just always try to stay cool, calm, and collected, and drink a lot of water and bring an extra shirt. And socks.
A lot of socks.
If you're going to South by.
And what is it about Southwest or South by Southwest that every new band is definitely something that they really look forward to? How do you think that really helped you guys?
I don't know. I think South by is just notorious for being like a jumping off point for so many bands. I mean, growing up, all of us knew so many bands that were just starting out, and like bands that we loved were playing there. Right. You know what I mean? And I just think for us personally, we met so many other bands that it was so cool, and we made friendships with. Like half the bands that are playing this residency with us this month are bands that we just met either at South by or just before or after.
South by.
Right.
Yeah, and just the connections and the friendships and the relationships, more than anything else, I think we took the most away from South by.
Now, you guys have experienced some touring with a band called 21 Pilots. Those guys are insane live.
They're unreal.
What
Understatement.
Yeah, exactly. What was that experience like going on tour with them?
I mean, where do I begin? I mean, them as people being able to watch them perform every night was something that I think, for the rest of my career, I will look back at that and be like, I learned so much from watching Josh play drums, the way that Tyler works the crowd,
right.
The way that they're lighting techs and the little things that their drum tech was doing before the show. And then not to mention just, I had never played in front of so many people before. And, being able to, at the end of the tour, to be able to say that, all right, I can get in front of 5,000 people and like play my music somewhat comfortably is special, and not a lot of people get to say that on their second tour. So I mean, I could keep going on, but yeah, it was special.
What was it even like going on that stage with that kind of magnitude of fans? Like, were you guys at all nervous, or is just another day at work?
I mean, the first couple shows, because up until then we'd played to rooms of maybe 500 people, that kind of thing. So the first time we got on a stage when there was 2,500 people, it's so funny because in my mind I was like, okay, it's the same songs you've been playing, you're fine, but it doesn't matter what you say in your mind. Like there is a physiological response to that kind of energy. Like your legs are shaking and your breath is you're breathing like crazy. I think the first set we played with them, I noticed halfway through I was so out of breath, and it was because I was so excited. I felt like I was on drugs, and I was just jumping around the stage like a madman, like a crazy person. And I was like, whoa, I need to just chill for a second and try to remember to breathe.
Now, there's also a difference with the stage. I mean, you're playing a stage here where you guys fit the stage, and then you're playing a stage there where you have too much room. How did you guys accommodate the stage?
I mean, believe it or not, we kind of stick to the same setup no matter how big the stage. We, maybe we're a little further apart, but we still stayed pretty close, and it felt comfortable. I mean, despite the obvious 5,000 people in front of us, it felt a little bit more like what we're used to, opposed to just being 30 feet away from each other. So I think that probably helped a little bit.
The first time we played a big show in London, actually, we played on where you're supposed to play. Like, I was probably 150 feet from my band, and it was so foreign and weird. We learned from that. Like, we know we want to be near each other and play off of each other.
Still hear and play off each other. But yeah, I will say the very nice thing is on big stages is just not having to like crawl over each other to set up. And yeah, you're like in like just a nest of wires, just like tangled. Like, where am I? But yeah, on a big stage, it's like, I'm free. There's no wire monster.
Now, how is it? Nowadays, a lot of bands that are from the States are having bigger opportunities out in the UK or vice versa. How did this happen for you guys?
I don't know. We just kind of showed up and started going.
You just pick a destination, you show up, and just they're waiting for you.
One thing that might have helped a little bit is a gentleman to the name Harry Styles tweeted at.
I think one of you guys didn't know who he was, right?
I think it's this guy over here.
Oh, I knew who he was. I definitely knew who he was.
Mike's been in love with Harry Styles for years.
Let the record show.
And that's the God honest truth.
No, in all seriousness, I mean, Harry Styles tweeted about it was a song of the day. Or no, sorry, he tweeted our lyrics to Girls Your Age in July when we released the song, a couple weeks after, and that definitely helped. You know, a lot of their fans started to follow us, and then just for whatever reason, our sound just seems to be catching on a little bit quicker over there, and we're completely fine with that. We're going to be going over for the 4th time next month and playing our first headlining tour over there, and that should be cool. And again, a lot of that is thanks to the 21 Pilots tour. You know, we're going to be hitting a lot of the cities that we played on that tour. But yeah, hopefully the same buzz that we have over there will translate over here before you know it.
Well, what's it been like so far here? You guys have been doing the residency in LA for the last month. So what has that buzz been like?
I mean, we honestly didn't know what to expect because strangely enough, us living in LA, we've only played before the residency like 3 shows in LA. Right. So before the first show, we were all kind of like really nervous, thinking we could get out there and there'd just be an empty room, and that would suck, but whatever, let's see what happens. But no, surprisingly, it was really good. There's a bunch of people in here that had randomly either heard our songs on Spotify or Apple Music, or had seen us when we played with Mickey Echo that came back. So it was great. It was way better than we expected. The room was full and people were into it, so it was good. We actually had a whole front row of some gay guys just vibing out and doing some interpretive dancing to it. So that was putting me
so hard. Like the whole show, all 4 of us afterward were just dying laughing in the green room. We were like, because you're trying to just play and not take yourself seriously, but you're trying to do your job seriously, And it's so hard to like focus and pay attention when this person is just dancing harder than you've ever seen someone dance before to your music, and you just want to laugh,
I was laughing. I got off stage after, and someone said, "Man, you really like to smile while you play." And they had only walked in for the last song. They were like, "Yeah, that song I saw. You were just like, it looked like you were laughing the whole time." I was like, "No, I don't normally do that." Yeah. Yeah.
You love what you do, hey?
I love it too much.
That's why you're doing this right now for a living. So we have this upcoming debut album in the works. How different is it from the debut EP? What can we expect?
I mean, we chose the songs on the EP for a reason, because it kind of gave the spectrum of what was going to be on our album. So, Girls Your Age is like the more indie vibe, then Night Vision is kind of like a, bigger version of that, and then New Bohemia is really poppy, and, Bloodstream's somewhere in between. And the album is, very much in line with those 4 songs, but there are some, kind of surprises and things people wouldn't expect.
I think maybe a little more dancing involved in the full length.
Yeah.